Welcome. This is Carl Blackham, Council President for Three Fires Council. We want to welcome all of you to this webinar tonight. This is the first one that I'm aware of that we've done in the Council for as long as I've been associated with it. We want to thank David George, Marketing Director, Communication Director at Honeywell, for setting this up for us. David is here in the room with us to make sure we get this directed correctly. I'd like to introduce, along with me tonight, is Joel Hasseby, former president of Three Fires Council and member of the joint venture board for the Scout Adventure Camp. As well, we're glad to have Joe Wiltrout, our current Scout executive, with us, and we'll be working through the slides that will be presented to you and answering questions. By way of logistics, there will be a chat with presenters question opportunity on your screens that you can post questions. David George will bring those to us, and we'll try to answer those questions as they come in. We will also be asking 2 poll questions through the course of the evening and the presentation, so that you have a chance to reply to what your usage of the Adventure Camp has been. So with that, we're going to start just going through a series of slides that have been prepared, and we'd like to answer a lot of the questions that may have come up. May have heard, and probably have, that there is a discussion going on relative to Three Fires Council ownership of the Adventure Camp that we've had jointly with the Des Plaines Valley Council, and there's going to potentially be some changes. The newly formed Pathways to Adventure Council, or PTAC, has taken over the ownership role of the Des Plaines Valley. PTAC has aspired to and wants to create and make that adventure camp into a full-fledged Cub Scout camp for their units and Cub Scouts. So they have entered into discussions with us at their initiation to where they might assume ownership and buy out our interests over time. So we're in those discussions, and we have not concluded those. They're not moving real quickly, but they are moving forward, and we anticipate a resolution of that hopefully in the next 30 to 45 days. So hopefully that will go through some questions here tonight. That'll give you a little more color on what the transition might be like. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Joel for the next question.
Sure. So I think Carl touched upon part of this. What exactly is going to be happening to TCF's ownership of the Adventure Camp. Right now, the Adventure Camp sits within a joint venture between Des Plaines Valley, which PTAC has now taken over, and Three Fires Council. So, as Carl mentioned, this is going to be a transition period, and the first thing that's going to take place would be that PTAC would take over financial responsibility and liability for the camp assets and the operations of the camp, keeping the camp up, maintaining it, et cetera, et cetera. Those obligations would cease to exist for Three Fires Council as soon as we finalize the arrangements that we're working on. And at the end of that transition period, which is yet to be determined, the full ownership of the camp would pass to PTAC. So I'm going to turn it back over to Joe right now, and he can talk a little bit more about what that means in terms of the ownership passing and so forth.
Thank you, Joel. Good evening, everybody. This is Joe Wiltrout. On your slide, the next question is, how will Three Fires Council be compensated for its past investments in Adventure Camp should Pathways to Adventure Council assume ownership. And when the agreement is finalized and we're working on what we call a term sheet at this period of time, Three Fires will receive financial compensation from Pathways that has not been totally finalized or agreed upon on what that is, but we are working to make sure that our assets as laid out from the onset of the joint venture are protected, as well as considerations are taken in account for appraisers to come out and assess the value of the property, as well as assess the capital infrastructure that has been put in place. The transition of ownership, Pathways would have a period of time in that transition, and right now we're looking at a lease payment option because they are taking on the financial liability to run a camp, as well as provide program for our scouts. And we want to make sure that everything is fair and equitable, because at the end of the day, the end game and the key thing in all of this is that we've got program happening at the camp. So once everything happens, our 50% of ownership would be minus any capital improvements that are made by Pathways to Adventure over the period of time of transition, and you would receive those funds basically of our initial investment.
Okay, this is Carl again. You may ask if you've been out there and camped out there. There's considerable equipment out there. Some of it's Three Fires Council equipment. I'm sure others is coming from the legacy Des Plaines Valley. What will occur with that equipment, and it's been pretty well agreed that those pieces of equipment that are transferable can be taken by their respective councils, and so we would pull that equipment back into our assets and use that accordingly, so we will have access to that and going forward. Joel, do you want to take the next question?
Sure. This question is, will Three Fires Council continue to invest in the Adventure Camp? As many of you are aware, there has been a number of investments that have been made in the Adventure Camp over the last several years, and those investments being made by the joint venture entity that was created between the two councils. Effective with the agreement being executed, Three Fires will no longer be investing in the camp at all. The ownership ultimately will be transferred to PTAC under this agreement, and PTAC, as Joe mentioned, or Carl, I believe, intends on developing this camp as a full-fledged Cub Scout camp, which is going to take a significant investment on their part. So in order to facilitate that, PTAC is in the process of evaluating all of their properties and facilities and so forth, and they're going to be mothballing or selling some of their properties in order to be able to fund what they want to do with the Adventure Camp. So the answer to that is no, we won't be, but there will be further investment in the camp. It'll just be done by PTAC.
Okay, we're going to just take a moment and do a poll question now. So if you can refer to your screen, you'll see a question. The question is, how often have you been to Adventure Camp in the last 12 months? You'll see some options there from haven't visited to more than 4 times. Go ahead and select those. I also want to remind you what Carl had mentioned in the beginning. The chat with presenter option is there. We do encourage your questions. If we make a comment that might prompt another question, go ahead and post it, and we'll tackle as many of those as we can in the order received. So let's look. We've got a number of you that have replied. Let's skip to the results. So it looks like from not visited, about 27% of our audience, to 1, 32% of our audience, and 2 is 24%. So that's still dynamic. Go ahead and vote. We'll give you a few more seconds if you would. And then, good. Looks like almost everybody voted. We appreciate your voting in the poll, and we'll move on to the next question.
All right. Next question is, can my unit still camp at Adventure Camp? Absolutely they can, and yes, we encourage all of our council units to use the Adventure Camp for camping and other activities. We want to also encourage Three Fires Council units and volunteers and kids to also check out Camp Big Timber and Camp Freeland Leslie as well. But from a unit standpoint, there really is not going to be a whole lot of difference or change, if any. Jeremy and the team out there has got a great thing going on and great facilities, and the camp needs to be used on a regular basis, and we would encourage that by all of our council units.
So on page 9, you'll see a question: will the Three Fires Council units pay a premium to work to camp at the camp? And certainly we want to encourage that. It's generally the concept that we've agreed to with PTAC thus far, that we will have the same cost structure in using the camp as the PTAC scout units will have. So we'll be able to use that without a premium, and we look forward to how they're going to develop their project out there and at the same prices that they would. So that should be a good bonus to us because it is close to our council.
I guess the next question has to do with registration. As Joe mentioned, not a lot is really going to change as a result of this agreement that we're looking to strike with PTAC. But one thing that will change, and it'll be for the better, is the registration. For now, the next couple of months, you will continue to register exactly the way you have been registering in the past by contacting the Three Fires Office Council. However, we expect that by the start of the second quarter, which would be in the April time frame, that PTAC will have their registration process online, and at that time we will send out a communication instructing everyone how to utilize that system and so forth. But until then, do it the same way you have, but very shortly there will be an online option to register your units at the Adventure Camp.
All right, thank you, Joel. Next question is probably the most important for a lot of folks. I know when we initially brought a group of folks together to discuss this was what will happen to our great Adventure Camp Ranger in Jeremy case, and what will happen to their family and everything. And the answer is that Jeremy is a valued full-time employee of the Boy Scouts of America, and the plan is that Jeremy will be employed by the Pathways to Adventure Council as the Adventure Camp Ranger. Currently, Jeremy is an employee within the Three Fires Council, but paid through the joint venture. And so Jeremy will continue to do what he's doing out there and all the great quality work that he does. And if I might add, everybody needs to keep in mind that what we're talking about here is a win-win for both councils. We're going to focus on further development of Camp Big Timber and Camp Freeland Leslie, and now we've got a very focused development from the Pathways to Adventure Council on Adventure Camp. So really what we're going to see here in the next several years is the bar raised for all three camps, and Jeremy is going to be a big part of the bar being raised out at the Adventure Camp, and I know right from him that he is very excited about that opportunity and very willing to take that on. All right. The next question is, how will the money be used by the Three Fires Council from the sale of Adventure Camp? Well, first and foremost, any proceeds that come in from the sale of Adventure Camp will go right back into physical plant and further development of Camp Big Timber and Camp Freeland Leslie, and the further development of greater programs and greater program resources in the Three Fires Council. That's about the most direct and simplest way I know how to put it, and I know the two guys in the room here with me are nodding their heads and agree and in agreement 110%. So that's exactly what will happen, and as those things develop over time, that will fall in line with the capital campaign that we're working on, and I think we're going to see greater programs at our other two facilities with those resources.
Just to further that point a little bit, a lot of us put money into that camp out there, and we were happy to do so for the furtherance of those programs, and it's only appropriate that those funds be used in the minds of those who have been managing this process, that they be used back into the original intent of the donors. So very grateful for those who have donated and supported this effort over the years, and want to assure them that the funds will be used in accordance with their initial wishes. The last question is, how can I submit a question for a future FAQ update on Adventure Camp? And we encourage questions. We want to have questions. We tried to answer some of those here tonight, but there's a website there or an email address that you can send a question to, and we encourage those, and hope that is something you'll access to as you have thoughts about Adventure Camp.
Okay, we're at the time of our next poll question, so we're going to leave this poll question posted for a few minutes, and we'll also answer some questions that have been posted during the webinar. So the poll question is, if you visited Adventure Camp in the past 12 months, what might be the reason that you visited? And check all that applies. So if you went out for a Cub Scout activity, maybe that was a unit or a district or council activity, Boy Scout venturing, whatever that might be, go ahead and click those that apply. We'd love to see those results. And gentlemen, we do have some questions posted here that came in from our audience tonight. And the first one is, after it becomes a full Cub Scout camp, will there still be opportunities for Boy Scout units to camp there? Know the answer to that?
I'll take a stab at this one. This is Joe Wiltrout. I would say that in talking with the acting scout executive and the Director of Support Services for the Pathways to Adventure Council, that there are going to be camping opportunities for all programs at Adventure Camp, and that they are working through their program committees and volunteers to develop programs for everybody at Adventure Camp. So really can't answer that one fully, but my heart tells me that it's going to be a full-fledged scouting reservation.
Okay. The next question is, programs like NYLT or the OA conclaves have been held at Adventure Camp. Will they continue to be, or will there be another location sought?
Here again, this is another great question. I know that NYLT has been held out at the Adventure Camp for Three Fires Council for several years here, and it's kind of interesting. In the past, the Des Plaines Valley NYLT program has been held at Big Timber. So we're looking at scheduling issues and scheduling opportunities to really have our council use the two camps that we're going to focus in on, and that is Camp Big Timber and Camp Freeland Leslie. So we'll be working with our program folks, our training folks, the volunteers that are currently running those programs, and our program department to work those issues out and bring finality to that, location and dates and all that kind of stuff. As far as conclaves and work weekends and powwows and OA events, I know that the Order of the Arrow is planning on having their fall fellowship at Big Timber this year, and then we will have our spring fellowship at CFL to get ready for Boy Scout summer camp. So we're working to get our folks into accustomed to using those two facilities.
Okay. Question on some memorabilia that may be posted there. Has there been discussion of what might happen to the Chief Shabana plaques? Have an answer to that?
I don't think we do. I think we have 3 question marks here. All right. That's a very good question. We will put that into the calculus. And
very good.
If I may, if somebody, whoever asked that question, if they could send an email to the email that is tfc127.marketing@scouting.org, if you could send a detailed email about that question as well as your contact information, we'd like to start some dialogue and see how we can get some more information out about that and get that taken care of.
Okay.
Thank you for that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we have one question left, so if you do have another question, go ahead and post it online. But we do have one question left in the queue, and they're wondering if there's still, are we still going to encourage Three Fire Council volunteers to volunteer time at Adventure Camp? Will that still be, if they're still interested, will that still be encouraged, or should they be working with PTAC on volunteer opportunities if they want to continue to work at Adventure Camp?
Once the PTAC assumes operational control of the property, I'm sure they will be looking to organize their own programs and organize their own maintenance and refinements of the facility. We wouldn't have any oversight of that. If people are interested in that, I'm sure there'll be opportunities for them to reach out to PTAC and continue.
We have a couple more questions that came in, so thank you for posting those. Will Camp Big Timber be able to accommodate an influx of campers?
Joe Wiltrout, we have got a program committee that is working through our long-range plan and under the direction of Tim Tyler with oversight from Brian Kilmer, our VP of program, that are really looking at all aspects of access, facilities, needs improvement to our facilities, and how we can best use those facilities for greater usage and participation. So I think the long-term answer is yes. The short-term answer may be that we have more demand than we have supply, but we'll be working on that. And here again, we're not saying that any of our units can't go out to Adventure Camp and still camp. We're just trying to focus on long-range planning at Big Timber and Camp Freeland Leslie from the Three Fires Council standpoint.
Okay, very good. I think we've answered this question, but they're wondering about if pack-in camping is not available after the sale, is it available at Camp Freeland Leslie or Big Timber? And I believe you said that
Pack-in
camping?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I believe you said that absolutely we want to encourage the of both of those sites. Another question posted, are there any other additional plans to sell any other Three Fires Council properties?
No.
There's a simple one. Good. All right, let me just check.
Unless somebody knows of something that we own that we don't know.
Right.
Our long-range plan incorporates the use of these assets. We've got some great assets, and we're looking forward to developing those in a very efficient way for the youth within the council.
Okay, very good. Those are the questions that are posted. On behalf of the Three Fires Council, I want to thank Joe and Joel and Carl. And I believe, Joel, you have a wrap-up.
Yeah, when we started out, Carl said that we've been having discussions with PTAC, and this is phase one, although it is moving fairly quickly, but we're continuing to have discussions and iron out all of the details with PTAC. And as we move forward and there's additional information that needs to be communicated and so forth, we'll make sure that it is properly communicated, whether it be through another webinar or whatnot. But we expect that this is going to be wrapped up over the next couple of months, and we will continue to let you know and continue to communicate what's taking place and what the ultimate results of this are. But as Carl and Joe both pointed out, from the average unit in the council, there theoretically is no change. If you want to go out to the adventure camp, go out to the adventure camp. The only real change, though, is when you go out there a couple years from now, I think you're probably going to see a little bit of a different facility landscape than you have now, because there is going to be some investment in the camp at a faster pace than what the joint venture was doing over the past. So it's all good news, and there's going to be a great facility out there providing great program to scouting for many, many, many years to come. Thanks a lot. I appreciate all of you joining us tonight.
That concludes our webinar. Please have a great rest of the evening. Thank you.
Good night, all. Thank you.
Thank you.